Go ahead.
Go.
All right, welcome back, YouTubers. This is Inland Northwest Native News. I am your host, Jeff Ferguson.
And I am your co-host, Margo Hill.
All right, thank you once again for joining us. It is an honor to be here and another great day to be Indigenous. We are kind of excited today. We have some really, really good stories, and we just, it's so neat to be able to do this for, cover the news and events that have been long overlooked. We're covering news and events here on a local, regional, and national level for 11 tribes of the Inland Northwest and how they affect them, all the way from on the west side to the Colvilles, down south to the Umatilla and Warm Springs, the Yakamas, over to the Nimipu, up on the east side to the Blackfeet, and up to the Kalispel, the Kootenai, the Coeur d'Alene, the Colvilles, the Spokane, and I ran out. That's it. That's all of them. All right. So, it's something we've been doing for a little while. It was an idea that came to me a few years ago, and I actually wanted to start bringing on interns to start covering some of the stories, and we wanted to bring in, maybe some affiliate reporters from different organizations. We can do live interviews on here on the air. We also post this show after the live feed. So if you can't join us, then you can pick it up and watch it later. But we're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. from 8 to 8:30. And if you'd like to keep up with what we're doing, be sure to like and subscribe and hit the little bell, and that'll notify you whenever we have new content coming up. And so, that being said, how are you doing?
It's Friday morning.
It is Friday morning.
We've barely survived March Madness. It's a new month. It's April, and the sun is shining. The spring is here, and we're ready to get outdoors.
We are.
But let's get to the news.
Yeah. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, or you can chime in. We're monitoring the live feed here. So feel free to chime in. We'd love to hear your story suggestions or your comments about the stories that we have, and we'll leave the links to the stories that we cover in the comment section below. So the first story that we have today is all you.
Okay, so the Fed's reversed decision to sell historic archives in Seattle. The sale, we covered the story here on Inland Northwest Native News. The sale would have forced the transfer of millions of records to facilities in Kansas City, Missouri, and Riverside, California. And again, this is a story from the Associated Press. So here in Seattle, the editor stated the above video, it talks about the National Archives. So the Biden administration actually reversed the decision by its predecessor to sell the Federal Archives building in Seattle, following months of opposition from people across the Pacific Northwest and a lawsuit by the Attorney General. Tribes joined in. We provided affidavits. Local scholars, attorneys, all supported that effort. And Senator Patty Murray said in the news release Thursday that the Federal Office of Management and Budget had withdrawn its approval for the sale, which would have forced the transfer of millions of records to a facility in Kansas City and some in Missouri and then Riverside, California.
Yeah, so we covered this story earlier, and we talked about it because it popped up, and we're like, holy cow. So we have 29 tribes here in Washington, and I know that they archive some of the other stuff for some of the surrounding states there too. So we're talking at least 29 tribes. The archives for them would have been moved to Kansas City, Missouri, and that decision was made based on a panel of, I think it was a panel of 3 that decided that, if I'm not mistaken. I would have to double check, but I know it was not more than 5. It was this tiny little panel that was making this decision to move all of these, and they're talking millions of pieces of artifacts to Kansas City. So anytime any of the tribes or anybody wanted to visit that, that they were holding. They had to go to Kansas City. That was really kind of absurd, I thought.
Yeah, so our tribal attorney's office, our reservation attorney's office, we depend on historic documents. And so it's nice that that we don't have to worry about them getting sent off to other states. Really, that we can continue to access those records. We still have historic issues. We go back to treaties of 1855. These are important issues for tribes.
Yeah, very important. It's just crazy to think that those types of decisions, and they said just because it was going to cost too much money to build a new facility or to upgrade the old one was the excuse that they used to begin with. But if they started looking around and started looking for funding, I think that they could round up a little bit of dough to cover that. If all each of the tribes kicked in a little bit, then that would cover a substantial portion of it. If not all of it. But anyhow.
So we did have a lot of tribal support. So, tribes submitted affidavits to the Attorney General, and so they were able to help save that, make that effort a reality to save that archive.
Oh, yeah. And again, it was another Ferguson step forward.
Hey! So the Attorney General, his name's Bob Ferguson or something.
Or something.
One of your cousins? Is he one of your cousins? Is that one you claim? Oh, yeah, now it's Attorney General Ferguson.
Well, you're kind of all over the place.
Whatever.
All right. So, council.
Keller. Yeah.
Keller. All right. So, moving right along. We have this really neat story here. And I think did I send you the link on this one?
No.
I don't know if I did or not.
I don't have the link.
You don't have the link? Okay.
No.
Well, we'll just go with it. This one is, we've been following this one. This is the Skagit River. Seattle offers, this one comes out of the King 5 News. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we had Irv Schlufer sent this one to us. Seattle offers to change dam operations on sacred stretch of the Skagit River. Now, this one came out on the 8th, and it's Susanna Frame is the author of this article. Seattle, after 100 years of dewatering a 3-mile portion of the Skagit River where it used to flow freely, Seattle City Light on Wednesday pledged to put water back into what is referred to as the Gorge Bypass Reach. It is our intent to rewater that reach and not wait for the new license to do so, said Deborah Smith, General Manager and CEO of Seattle City Light. The announcement comes as the public utility is in a multi-year process of getting its 3-year hydropower dams on the Skagit River relicensed by federal government. City Light officials held a virtual news conference to brief reporters on Wednesday. The utility's deadline to submit revised study plans to the federal agency charged with relicensing hydropower projects. Results of the studies are intended to inform regulators on what conditions will be placed on Seattle under a new multi-decade license to mitigate for adverse impacts caused by the dams. It's incredibly important work, Smith said. We are balancing a lot of interests, the need for clean energy and mitigating for impacts on the river, wildlife, and people, and the need to plan for the future while also addressing inequities today and long-standing inequities. So it's something that they're trying to work on. It's something they said in the article that we mentioned earlier this week that I think all 5 species of salmon that migrate to Puget Sound all go up that river. So it's important. There's a lot of stakeholders here, and it's something that's needed to be done for a long time. And it may not be a perfect solution, but at least they're looking for solutions, and it's brought to the attention of some key players. So pretty exciting news.
Very good news. Very good news.
So, next, we just want to do a quick shout out. This is a fun one I saw as we're scouring the web for content for you folks. This one came up on a friend of ours' Facebook page. These are some of the young little Yakamas. This is pretty cool. Shout out to Marylee Jones, and she titles this one, Some of Our Precious Children.
So those are the little swans, Jeff.
The little swans.
Yeah, we've been over at Yakama Nation and worked with Patsy Whitefoot and Marylee Jones. They do ceremonies with the young kids, really preparing them as they grow into teenage, trying to support them, build self-esteem, build strong cultural values. Yeah, that's amazing. That just always inspires me.
That's the group that danced at the
Yes.
At the Heritage Center there.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really like and admire all the basket hats. Look at all the basket hats in there. That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, we just wanted to say shout out for Marylee Jones and the Little Swans on the Yakama rest. Yeah, they're very cool. It was nice to see that. It really kind of made my day when I saw that. So, anyhow, moving right along, we have a story here on ICWA. So, I have it in here.
Okay, so court strikes key provision of Indian child welfare law. Again, this was the 325-page decision. We're still trying to understand it. But looking, legal experts are deeply concerned about the incredibly divisive ruling from a federal appeals court that struck down parts of the law, giving Native American families preference in adoption of Native American children. The ruling by a sharply divided U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals is seen as a defeat for tribal leaders who said that the 1978 Indian Child Welfare Act was an important factor protecting families and culture. So we have Mary Catherine Nagel, a Cherokee, is a partner at the law firm Pipestem and Nagel, who specializes in federal Indian law. She called the Fifth Circuit ruling incredibly divisive, and certain provisions of the decision are just incorrect. The complex ruling from 16 judges of the Fifth Circuit Court upholds a lower court's finding that Indian Child Welfare Act's preferences for Native American families or licensed Indian foster home violate constitutional equal protection requirements. So this is just upsetting. It's not clear. I haven't read the 325-page document, but that the law unconstitutionally commandeers state officials' duty in adoption matters. So essentially, the Indian Child Welfare Act that was passed in 1978 sets out a preference so that children are lost to Indian country, that we at least, the tribe has to be connected. Often we deal with these things in tribal court. Even if if the children are in an urban setting far away, we try to place them either with a Indian family. The preference starts out with somebody from the child's family, then somebody from that child's tribe, and then next to another Indian family, or a family that's approved by tribal ICWA. So it sets a preference and a priority, and here they're saying it's a violation of the equal protection requirements under the Constitution. But we are all familiar with the 70s scoop, when thousands of Indian children were being removed from their homes illegally. First the boarding schools in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and then right up to the 70s, we have our children being removed. So the Indian Child Welfare Act was a provision to stop that from happening.
Yeah. So it happened all over, and it happened to so many kids, and it's something that's caused just a massive wave of intergenerational trauma. And that's, it's exciting. I'm really happy to hear that these guys are working on this. Shout out to Mary Catherine Nagel. She's an amazing attorney. She's also an amazing playwright. And Wilson Pipestem and Pipestem Law Firm. Shout out to Wilson. Those guys are doing amazing things. It really makes me happy that we have such good, high quality attorneys that are taking this on, because it is really important work. My mom worked in social work, and this was the foundation of a lot of the work that she did, being able to go in and make sure that these kids were staying within their culture, because it creates such a crisis of identity when these children are taken from the reservation or taken out of, it may not have necessarily been on the reservation, but they don't have the opportunity to go into an Indian home. And when they do have that opportunity, they can still stay connected to the parts of their culture that are important, their families and history and all of these different things. So this is really important work. And I'm happy. I want to shout out to Jacqueline Estes at Indian Country Today. Shout out to Trahan for running this for these guys, and they just doing a wonderful job on keeping up on it. So yeah.
You know, Jeff, I just can't tell you enough how the Indian Child Welfare Act is so fundamental to tribal families. You know, keeping our families together. As Jeff says, if you are not with Indian people, you really have an identity crisis, and you end up, you know, foster homes with non-Indians is really traumatic. I know.
Yeah,
and so, you know, just being able to have Indian children in Indian homes is important. And people might say, you know, that it's racist and that all these different things, but really, as you said, it causes a identity crisis, and it leads to other issues and social problems that tribal people have. Look at all the folks that were adopted out. They didn't know their tribe. They didn't know their family, and they knew they were different. They could feel it. They could see it, and it's really troublesome. So we're going to track this and see what the outcome of this is, because it's really concerning to me, because there's a lot of state workers that are doing a good job, but there's a lot of state caseworkers that don't bother to ask if it's an Indian child. They don't want to mess around. They just want to place a child as easily, as quickly as possible. And because there's, you know, so much pressure. You know, I don't ever blame social workers that they don't have enough resources or enough time, but it's a big issue.
Oh yeah, some of those casework, hundreds of cases that they have, and there's only so much time in a day, and you know, it's a tough job. How do you go through each and every one of them individually? They're underfunded, they're understaffed, and you know, they don't always have the opportunities that other organizations have to try to do the right thing and the best thing for these kids.
And again, thanks to the Indian attorneys, the Native attorneys across the country that are fighting for this issue. You know, when I was at University of New Mexico Law School, the pre-law program, the first thing they have us do is moot court, oral arguments on the Indian Child Welfare Act. We've got to fight for our children, and that's important. So thank you, Pipestem Law Firm.
Yes, thank you. So we moving right along. We have an announcement, and this is a really good one. A little bit more exciting. Omak is back. Always a good time. We are so happy to announce the Omak Stampede is back August 12th to the 15th in 2021. And we just want to say thanks to the Colville Tribal Business Council for allowing this to go through. Thanks for posting these we're going to leave the comment, or we're going to leave the link to the comment section to Omak Stampede. Reads, the 87th annual will run August 12th through the 15th, 2021. What does this mean, you may ask? This means we are operating our normal business hours in the office. Unfortunately, in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic caused our previous ticketing platform to go bankrupt. Wow, I did not know that. That's crazy. As we work tirelessly with our new platform, please bear with us. Ticket sales will be up in the next couple of weeks. The Omak Stampede organization as a whole is very excited to put forward another exciting event. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to call the office at 509-826-1002. Again, that's 509-826-1002, or you can call 800-933-6625. That's 800-933-6625. And again, we'll leave the links to the Facebook page for the Omak Stampede. I'm sure if you dug around a little bit, you could probably find it. But that's awesome. Amazing news. That means Pete's coming back.
Pete Palmer, shout out to one of our Stampede suicide race organizers. Also, shout out to Pokey Tenasket. My cousin Robert Tenasket is the one who posted that in the Colville Facebook page. So we were able to bring that cutting edge news to you. So thanks, Pokey.
Yeah, thanks, Pokey. And if you have anything else, be sure to send it. You know, we'd love to do your announcements on here. Next up, we have another great announcement from another amazing strong Native woman. This is congrats to Martina Whelshula. Martina Whelshula, Swan Innovations. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, she's Martina and Cree, her daughter, are dedicated to providing the very best training videos, curriculum, and other resources. And they focus on intergenerational trauma impacting Native Americans indigenous language and cultural trainings. So there's going to be a wide variety of cultural resources available. We are going to leave the link. Swan Innovations is going to go live this next week. So please check that out. Congratulations to Dr. Martina Whelshula and her daughter Cree.
Yeah, that'll be April 15th at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern on Zoom. And we're going to leave the meeting ID number in the comment section below. So, exciting news. If you've never heard Martina speak, man, she is a wealth of knowledge. She's an amazing woman. She has really such a in-depth understanding of the root causes of intergenerational trauma, and she is not afraid to share any of it. She's really, I did an interview with her, I don't know, a couple years ago over at the ATNI Drug Summit when we were with Swinomish, and she just laid it out there for me, man. Holy cow. That was such I got about an hour, 20 minutes, hour and a half out of her for ATNI, and she hit on so many things that just all these things began to make sense to me as she went along. She's just a super smart woman. So that'll be neat to see. Anyhow.
Yeah. I appreciate Dr. Whelshula and the work that her and Cree do. So taking a turn, Jeff, our next story is about a Native filmmaker who will begin shooting in Santa Fe. So I guess I'm going to push this, and then you're going to help me expand it, right?
Yeah, let's check this out. There's a picture we can look at of her.
Okay.
Pretty exciting stuff. Natalie Benally. This one is coming to us out of KOB News out of New Mexico. And it says Natalie Benally, an indie filmmaker, is shooting her movie Mother's Day in Santa Fe. Let's just play the video. So we'll get this up and going, and we will expand it, and we're going to go to, okay, let's give it a whirl.
Just push.
Oh, wrong one. There we go. Let's try that one. Go ahead.
It's very clear our film industry is roaring back after basically disappearing early on in this pandemic. We're not only seeing, the big time, big name productions, because Colton Schoen found out independent filmmakers, especially from underrepresented communities, are getting their shot.
Hot sets are popping up all over the land of enchantment. For many, it's a welcoming sight after COVID hit pause on productions for many months, including Santa Fe indie filmmaker Natalie Benally's film Mother's Day.
I've just been waiting. I've been really waiting for just to be able to shoot the film.
Benally wrote and will direct the film Mother's Day that draws on her own personal experience.
It's based on a story of a single parent who is sort of navigating going out on her first date as a single parent and having come out of a really traumatic, tumultuous relationship.
Getting behind the camera and writing for the screen was made possible for her in part by a grant from the New Mexico Film Office that supports Native American filmmakers. Benally says this representation is so important.
There's a specific way that the industry sees Native people, and if you don't fit that, oh well. And so from just my experience and having to deal with that all the time, and I just thought, if the stories that I want to see and hear are not being written, then why not write them?
She's anticipating a really busy 2021. After this production wraps up, she'll be working on another project focused on Native dancers. Benally will be holding virtual casting calls for that film soon. Colton Schoen, KOB4.
Pretty cool stuff, man. That was really exciting. We got Native filmmakers coming back out after COVID, and it looks like she's got a really good storyline. It'll be interesting to see that one. Really excited for her. Really excited, actually, for all filmmakers. I know a handful of filmmakers. We had a project that got shut down by COVID on MMIW, and then we were going to do one on pregnant opioids and pregnant Native women and opioids, and hopefully we'll be able to get those going here this spring, and get something going with there. But just a quick insight, we met with the One Heart Native American Arts and Film Festival. I've been on the board for I helped start it, get it going, but actually just got on the board last year. But we are looking at moving possibly to a new venue, and we are hoping to have it up and going for October. And we have some really cool ideas. We may be changing. There may be a changeover in leadership, but we've been hosting. This will be our 5th year. One Heart celebrating its 5th year already. Man, that's crazy. Anyhow, we had Russell Brooks came out. We had the cast reunion from Smoke Signals came out. We've had just a lot. We had what was the gal from Canada? The singer. I always forget her name. Buffy St. Marie. That's right. She came out and gave amazing performance. So yeah, we've had some pretty cool rock stars come out for that. So hopefully we're going to be able to have enough time and secure a good venue. And I really think that we're headed in a good direction with this for our 5th year. So pretty exciting. This last year we ended up doing it online, and that it was as impactful and as successful as that was. I think this is even going to be more. This is really going to be hands on the ground. We have the opportunity of possibly doing some live casting out of the film festival, which is pretty exciting, both on the radio and on like YouTube. So anyhow, we'll keep you apprised to that. So moving right along, our last story here is an amazing story. This is given to us and posted. I found this. Deb Stokona, a friend of ours that again met out at the drug summit from the Confederated Warm Springs Museum. She posted this, and this is really cool. So I want to have you check this out.
So this is a Umatilla artist, Ellen Taylor, and she has a showing at the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs. So there's going to be art available at the gift shop, including beautiful T-shirts, and they'll be posting. Oh wow! Oh my God, that's amazing!
Look at that! Check that out.
Wow!
Isn't that neat? It's just
oh my gosh! Again, it's a Umatilla artist. Her name is Ellen Taylor. Wow! Very cool.
Yeah. So they are expecting the T-shirts. T-shirts are still not in. We will post as soon as delivered. Ellen Taylor is getting them ready and personally delivering them.
Oh my gosh, that's Jackson Sundown.
Isn't that
looks
cool?
It looks like it.
It sure does.
A representation, but oh my God, I want that T-shirt on
Look
the
at
right,
that.
Jeff. So get it ordered.
I want that one. Check that out.
Okay. Wow, Indian badasses with a modern flair.
Yeah.
Holy cow, that's amazing.
Some of the gals from Warm Springs, and yeah. So where are we at? We are here. All right, so check that. That's pretty bad, huh? I knew you would love those.
Oh my gosh, he said, "Oh, you're gonna." I'm like, yeah. Well, let's get to the news.
We're gonna have to.
Oh
get
my
some
gosh,
of that.
yeah.
Isn't that pretty
we
exciting?
might need a road trip to Warm Springs.
Yeah,
you went down there year before last to deliver water.
Yeah.
You and a renegade friend, Jacob Johns, I think. I think we're gonna need. I've got cousins down at the Warm Springs. Shout out to Hermie Willette and Sabrina Boyd.
Yeah.
We'll come down and see you and grab some of those T-shirts.
Yeah, and shout out to the staff down there at the Warm Springs Museum. Man, that's an amazing show. What a great exhibit to be sharing. It looks like they're doing a great job down there, and I would love to make it down there. That's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, so exciting times in Indian country. We're going to keep following the stories. Please like and subscribe. And if you have story ideas, let us know. I know people are discovering us all the time. I make a little comment on Facebook about an Indian taco feed, and people are like discovering the show. So tell your friends, like and subscribe.
Shout out to Billy.
Billy Sean. Yeah, it was Billy Sean. Billy Flett. He heard about our show because I told TJ Flett, his son, we were advertising the Indian taco sale. TJ and his family, they're starting an Indian relay team out of the Spokane tribe. He's working with his father-in-law, Jim Best, and so we're excited. We love Indian relay, and so we're going to be cheering on those Indian relay teams.
And just so you know, we are going to be looking for interns. We have a nonprofit that we are probably going to end up rolling this into, and we'll be able to take on some college interns and get them some credit. And if we can get a little bit of funding rolling through, maybe we can kick them down a little
Cashola.
Ulu.
Oh, Sklow and Ulu Lim. Yeah.
There we go.
He's going Salish on me this morning.
Hey now.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks again for joining us. Lem Lemsh.
Sha'uhoy.
Sha'uhoy.